I have a question for you. Did you read the blurb before you started the book? You didn't?
No. It's Lisa Jewell. What am I reading the blurb for? I got to get through the book anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
So normally when I read the blurb, you know, to see what's going on, it's Lisa Jewell. It's like Freedom of Fathom. Why am I reading the blurb for? Did you read the blurb of the Bible? No. You just get straight in. You don't even know. You just get straight in.
No one's asked that before, you know? Never been asked that.
Blurb.
Get stuck in.
But yeah, why did you...
When at your husband's funeral, and a strange man introduces himself to you as your husband's old buddy, what should you do? Run away in opposite direction as fast as you can, according to Lisa Jewell. Even if you don't run, you should definitely not let him in your house, right? This psychological thriller by a world-acclaimed author is about the women who didn't run, the women who believed, the women who were preyed upon, and sometimes the women who disappeared. So, Elijah, let me get in early. What did you think of the book?
I was want to talk about the title for a second. When they said don't let him in, I didn't think they were talking about the house.
Well,
because they all let him in.
100%.
But what did I think of the book? I hear you ask. Yeah. Okay, so I want to start by saying it was confusing at first. I couldn't tell which direction it was going in. But I found it interesting for the most part, and I found the ending. I thought I was on the edge of my seat for the ending. So I think it was a good book. Overall, I think it was a good book. It needed some work, it needed some tightening up and whatnot, but I thought it was okay.
I liked what you said earlier about if it wasn't Lisa Jewell, I think it would have gone up in my estimation. But because it was Lisa Jewell, and I explain what I mean as well.
I don't know if I even said that.
You did say that. If you didn't say it, I'm saying it.
I didn't say. I don't
want the record.
You misheard me. You misheard me.
Okay,
yeah.
But anyways, I just think it was a bit straightforward to be. Like, when you say you don't know what direction it was going in, I knew what direction it was going in from the beginning.
No, you couldn't have, and I'll tell you why after.
All right, go on.
I'll tell you why after. After. No, I mean later in my notes. But yeah. So, but did you like it? I liked parts of it.
Do I normally say that?
Yeah.
I liked parts of it.
Do you think it needed a lot of work then to fix it to where you want it to be, or it needs?
No, I don't think it needed a lot of work.
So why didn't you do the work?
I don't think it needed massive wholesale changes.
Yeah.
I don't think there was anything wrong with it. I was expecting something else.
Yeah.
I think that's fair to say.
How many have you got, by the way? You must have less than me.
6.
What? You got more than 5? I thought, because I had 4 initially, but yeah, anyway, go first.
Fair enough. Did you do the intro?
Oh yeah.
You know what? Whenever I get in before you get to the intro,
you mess up the order. Yeah. You mess up the order.
Okay, always my fault. Anyways, the old comfort your best friend's widow gag, is it? After the tragic death of popular figure Paddy Swan, his wife Nina and daughter Ash are left devastated. That is until they receive a letter from Nick Ratcliffe, an old friend of Paddy's. I've seen this trick before. You do the whole "we were best friends" bit. Whole time you barely even knew him. Ladies, do not fall for this. If they were such good friends, how come you've never heard of him and don't know who he is? I don't care how dead I am. If I hear "we were best friends," or perhaps that infamous line, "call me if you need anything," I'm rising up at that casket like the Undertaker. Ladies, do not fall for that one. You should at least have heard of him.
But that's correct. No, but you should. Maybe that's the reason why they can find their way taking their knickers off for him, because they don't. There is no connection. Because if he were really his best friend or best friends at something, you can't be sleeping with him.
No, you can't be sleeping with your guy's wife. But the other way around, I don't think women feel like that.
What? That is a violation.
I don't know if, from the woman's perspective, I don't know if it's...
I think from the man's perspective, it's understandable.
Wait, what?
Well, think about it. Traditionally, when husbands would die, their brothers would take on their women.
Okay, well, this ain't tradition. We're now in a new era. It's the 21st century. It's not the same. It's
Brother.
not the same. Yeah. It's not the same.
If you fall on the battlefield, brother, she'll be taken care of.
She'll be well attended. She'll bear many heirs for me.
Straight away, I want to say that I am confused. There are just too many main characters and way too many side characters. And just when you think Lisa Jewell couldn't possibly introduce another one, she hits you with Paddy. Yes, we even get the pleasure of pointlessly getting to know Paddy. And for what? He's dead! Let me explain. I think the story starts with Ash, who is Paddy's daughter. Paddy was a rich and famous chef with a chain of Michelin star restaurants, big house and plenty of money. Paddy's living the life. And to be fair, I do like the way Lisa Jewell brings him to life. There's this charming little detail where Ash remembers catching her dad sunbathing in a particular spot in the garden. He calls it Ibiza. He'd say, I'm just popping down to Ibiza whenever he felt like working on his tan. Stuff like that made me think Paddy was going to be a central figure, or at the very least, a reoccurring one. But nope, he dies and that's it. And what makes it worse is that this book already had way too many characters. Anybody with a brain could tell Lisa Jewell needed to be cutting characters, not adding more. Do you think that authors recognise that there are too much characters, but they simply don't care, or do they not realise?
I think in this instance, I don't think she realised, because you have to remember, this main guy, Nick, was like 6 or 7 characters by himself. So, on top of that...
I didn't even think about that, and actually, I disagree with you. He should have been, if this was done by a proper author, he should be playing different parts for different people, but he wasn't. He was just a simple one character. But not only that, when we had Nick and his different various women, all the women always had children, and then these children had friends, and it was too much. Like, why have all of that? It was just too much.
I've written something about that later in my notes. I think that was a huge mistake, especially the children aspect of it, because it's just not necessary.
There was kids everywhere.
Yeah, legit. It's like a nursery.
Yeah.
This story seems pretty straightforward. The Tinder swindler, but in book form. So Nick is a guy with possibly nefarious intentions. He's dating Paddy's widow, Nina Swan, but her daughter Ash is suspicious of him. At least somebody switched on, right? Meanwhile, we're also navigating the POV of Martha, a florist whose husband Alistair keeps vanishing for work. So I can only assume that Nick is a guy with a secret identity, or possibly more than one secret identity, who dates multiple women and scams them. I have a question for you. Did you read the blurb before you started the book? You didn't?
No. It's Lisa Jewell. What am I reading the blurb for? I got to get through the book anyway.
Yeah, that's true.
Normally when I read the blurb, you know, to see what's going on, it's Lisa Jewell. It's like Freedom of Fandom. Why am I reading the blurb for? Did you read the blurb of the Bible? No. You just get straight in. You don't even know. You just get straight in.
No one's asked that before, you know? Never been asked that.
Blurb.
Get stuck in.
But yeah, why did you ask? Well, because it sounds like my notes I've gone in blind.
Not because your notes sound like you've gone in blind, but it's like the blurb was like very telling of what the book was going to be about. And then the title, when you match the title with the blurb, you're like, oh, the title's a big giveaway. The title,
I think I got enough information from the title itself. Yeah. But no, I didn't read the blurb. Maybe I should go and read the blurb after so I know what you're talking about. Let me start by saying I love the cheating, controlling, manipulative main character. Of course I do. But I don't know where it's all going. No. Where is it all going? I do like the story, I just don't know where it's heading. There's no real plot. It feels like an endless cycle of women questioning his whereabouts and him just weaseling out of it with whatever excuse suits him that day. I think his real name's Samuel, but to his various women, he's Cal, Nick, Oren, just to name a few of his aliases that he juggles. He rotates his time between them like clockwork, a couple of days with each, like a real bad man. And honestly, reading this book made me realise that I'm not a sociopath. I'm terrible at lying, and I've got way too much pride. This guy, he will do whatever it takes. Beg for money, cry on command, twist reality with straight facts. There's no limit to what he will do or say to keep his circus act spinning. But eventually, that act starts to crack, and it's Martha, one of his many wives, who begins to get suspicious. She senses something's off and confides in her best friend, Grace. And Grace, being the ride or die that she is, gives her a very modern solution. Put a tracker in his car and find out where he's really going. And now I have to ask, do you co-sign that sort of behaviour from a wife, Joseph?
Absolutely not. If you don't trust your husband, you shouldn't be married.
But if you are, and you find yourself not trusting him because he's gone away for long spells of time, unaccounted for, what are you supposed to do in that situation?
Well, listen, I can only give a very limited opinion. I've never been married for this X amount of time. All I know is, if you don't trust your partner, you shouldn't. I think that should be
a true gaslighting, manipulative, controlling.
I think that should be the beginning of the end, though. That kind of, if you find yourself in that situation where putting trackers in their car, that's like now we're on a downward slope towards. We don't trust each other anymore.
So what you're saying is you should go against your marriage vows and just divorce.
I didn't say that. So I said it's a line you can't come back from. You know, putting a tracker in somebody's car. You can't come back over that line, you know.
Yeah,
when you
that's-
find out
that's
he's
true.
doing something innocuous or innocent, you're gonna be like,
You have to come clean.
well, you know, you got to think about it. You got to think, you know, am I the crazy one?
Okay, so I had a feeling you was going to say that.
Yeah.
If putting a tracker on his car is underhanded skullduggery, what if Grace, who was the best friend, hired a private investigator and revealed to Martha the information? Could one possibly blame Martha for having a peek at the file?
Oh, I didn't think he was going to ask that. I thought he was going to say, should she say Grace is a bad friend, sort of thing, for interfering in our marriage, is what I thought he was going to say. But
That's a good question as well. But let's say you had problems and I got a file. Sorry, I hired a private investigator to go look at your girl, and I had the file, and I said, Joseph, it's here.
yeah, that'd be very tempting. That'd be very
Would
tempting.
you be a bad wife or a bad person or an untrustworthy person if you just looked at the file? You didn't spy on her. You're just looking at the file.
Well, that's deceptive intelligence, isn't it? Yeah, you're deceiving your own self with intelligence. So technically, you're spied. If you're looking at spy
No,
material,
you're looking at spy material.
You're
But
technically
who
spying.
could blame you for that? The
yeah,
file's
you could
here.
blame yourself. You could blame yourself.
Could you blame your missus for looking at the file? It's right. It's been put in
I
front
could.
of.
I could
Really?
very easily
I would
blame her.
understand it. I think putting
should burn it.
if she put a tracker in your car, I think she's done something wrong. But
No,
if
there's
she's
definitely levels to it. No one's
she's
saying this.
looked at the file, just it landed in her lap.
What? And she was asleep and wind blew the paint.
No, the friend did it. I think you could forgive her for that.
It's definitely more forgivable than putting the track in the car, obviously. But what I'm saying is there's levels to it once you start to deceive yourself. Once you're like, oh, I've looked at this file, now that I know he's up to something, now I could put a tracker in his car.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
based off you looking at something that you knew you shouldn't be looking at. You see what I'm saying? So there's levels to it.
And that's another thing. Did you like the main character? Because it seems like that I'm the only person who liked the narcissist. You know, the main character, everybody seemed like they despised him and couldn't wait for him to get caught when I read the reviews.
Yeah.
I, on the other
really?
hand, wanted him to get away. Do you think that was what the author intended, to have us rooting for the main character? Or were we supposed to hate him?
I think there's a part of yeah, no, I do, because I always root for this kind of character. Remember in We Play Games, I was like, why did Ben get away? Sort of thing. I always root for this character because they're the only interesting one.
Do you think that's a thing that men do when they read these books, and women typically take the side of the women who want him to receive justice, or do you think it's gender fluid?
I think it's probably gender fluid.
Really?
I think
Do you
it's
think
probably
there's some
gender
women?
fluid.
Because I know
Yeah.
in the reviews, some women were saying these dumb bitches, they deserved
Yeah,
it
yeah.
and whatnot. How who could be so silly? These times their exes cheated on them same way, I don't know. Women say these things.
No, they do.
They
They
give advice, but when it's
100%.
themselves, this is interesting.
Different situation, isn't it?
Yeah. You should leave him, but when
Yeah.
it's them,
Leave
they
it,
ain't
leave it.
leaving nothing,
Of course.
But I love him.
I can change him.
That's
Classic.
crazy. We could never have women on this podcast, It'd be like
Start
Fresh
fight.
and Fit. It'd literally be Fresh and Fit.
Yeah, no, it would be, I hate them so much as well. I hate that channel so much.
Oh,
but I'm surprised that Lisa Jewell has written this. There aren't many twists or surprises, and I feel like everything has been spoon-fed to us, the reader, from the beginning. Just the title, Don't Let Him In, absolutely reeks of unreliable female narration, and I was expecting a book where the female victim turns out to be the villain when all's said and done. I suppose at the very least we've managed to avoid that trope so far, which has been flogged to death.
So, okay, now I'm starting to understand what you're saying, and
Yeah.
I'm starting to understand why we're having this disagreement with, I don't know where the story is going.
Yeah.
The reason being is because everything's laid out in the beginning,
Yeah.
right? So, because everything's laid out in the beginning, I'm thinking, well, we're reading this book for a reason. It's got to be going somewhere. It's got to be taking us somewhere. And I couldn't see that, which is why I say I couldn't see where the book's going, because we've been given information. We've been given
I
this
see what
guy,
you're saying.
but it's got to be going somewhere,
We're
surely.
saying the same things, but we just reach different conclusions, basically.
Yeah. So yeah, that's what it is.
I was thinking, I already know where it's going.
Yeah, no,
But you're thinking there must be something else.
Yeah, there
but
has
I
to be.
basically didn't read the author, is what you're saying.
Yeah, I'm thinking
And I'm like, there's nothing else.
It's got to be something else, surely,
Yeah.
because you've given us the cookie straight away.
Yeah, you gave it the benefit of the
but I
doubt,
like the
whereas
chase.
I didn't.
Okay, so the book finally takes a direction. This book is a Ash versus Nick the psychopath. Ash, who is Paddy's daughter, is on Nick's case. For some reason, it's her job to do the due diligence of doing a background check on her mother's boyfriend.
I don't know why. It falls to her.
Yeah, so Ash starts to catch on to Nick's lies, and Nick starts to catch on to Ash catching on to his lies. It's almost turned into a game of chess. Nick, the sociopath, is completely erratic. One moment he's randomly following girls around. The next, he's murdering one of his wives. And at no point are we told why. There's no clear plan, no explanation, no insight into what he's actually trying to achieve. We're just left to watch it unfold without understanding the purpose behind it. Now, I'll admit, I like the way the story is written. It's a kind of organised chaos. It's confusing, yes, but not in a sloppy way. It creates a sense of mystery and allows us to be kept in the dark, presumably in anticipation of some big reveal. The only problem? The big reveal never actually comes. Where was the big reveal that was promised? I thought the whole point of keeping the readers completely in the dark was to give them a shock at the end. I have to admit, I was on the edge of my seat when he was strangling his wife to death. And Amanda, his ex-wife turned side bitch, helps. It made me think, how's he going to get out of this one? So was you expecting some sort of shock twist? Or do you think that it wasn't necessary for this type of book?
No, I was expecting it. I was expecting some kind of...
Because he didn't have any... it just seemed like he was living in the moment, trying to get money out of these women. There was no plan. He wasn't saving up to, do some business deal or to live... There was no...
One issue that I had with him, because he was supposed to be this mastermind, evil scheme man. We didn't see any evil mastermind schemes. We just saw, actions.
Yeah.
So that was one issue that I had with him. And that's one thing that actually makes me root for the main character more, when they actually have a scheme.
Yeah, because we're trying to get,
Because there's a goal that they want to achieve.
Yeah.
And then obviously they have singularity of focus, so they're doing all these things, but it's all for this.
Exactly.
In the end, in this, we don't know what he wants.
Yeah, exactly. So why wouldn't you, as an author, add some direction to the story? Did you think she just thought, this is good how it is?
Maybe she wanted him to be erratic in the sense that that's kind of
but he wasn't really erratic though. He followed girls around and stuff like that.
He's a street stalker.
Yeah, he wanted the chase, he wanted the thrill, he wanted to make people feel scared and this, that, and the other. He wanted to be in control, but there was still no end game. Why would you not have an end game?
Maybe that's part of the chaos that she wanted. Like, what do they say? Sometimes you just want to watch the world burn. He doesn't want anything. But even if that was an angle, I don't think that was done well either. Because when that's done well, you can see that it's done well. Like with the Joker, for example, you can see that this guy wants to burn the world down just to see what's going to happen. Yeah. Author has given Nick too much to do. Yeah.
I think I need to let me pause it. I've noticed this flashing anyway.
And see where the audio dropped.
No, just to change the battery. God, then. We could just start again if you want.
Just delete the channel and start from video one again. Author has given Nick too much to do. Normally, when we see these stories about con artist men with secret identities, they're only dating women. This time, our mystery con artist has married and sired children with multiple women. On top of that, he's also a mastermind schemer, a street stalker, a murderer, an escape artist, a sex worker, and the list could very well go on. So there was just so many facets to his personality, and we weren't even doing the basics well. We wasn't even doing the mastermind scheme a bit well. We wasn't doing I think if he was only dating women and it was like this internet story, I dated this guy that did the whole, but he's got children over here. How do you think you can just disappear when you're a father and a husband?
Well, he does.
No, but he's doing it, but I'm like, how do you think that's not gonna, do you see what I'm saying? If you're dating a woman, couple weeks in or whatever, obviously you can disappear, not gonna be around that much, etc., etc. If you're married with children, though, come on, you can't do that.
And it would take one little teenage girl to find him out. If not for her, meddling kids. If it wasn't for you meddling kids,
legit, I would have got away with it.
So push comes to shove, and Nick has well and truly been found out. Ash has done all the legwork. She's spoken to ex-workers, ex-friends, ex-wives, and even Nick's long-lost children. And now, for some reason, they even make contact with his wife to spill the beans. None of that was necessary. I want to add, Ash started her investigation so that she could save her mother from a predator. That's the job done as far as I'm concerned. Do you think it was necessary for Ash to go all the way by spilling the beans to Nick's wife?
Well, once she's invested now, I don't know she planned that from the beginning. Like, yes, I want to tell this guy's wife.
But now she's invested, you think... that it's natural for her to want to see it to completion.
Yes.
So if it was your girlfriend, Ash was your girlfriend, and she said, "Oh, I've got him out the house now. My mum's on my side.
Yeah.
And we found his wife." Would you say, "All right, that's enough," or would you say, "Tell the wife"?
Well, my priority would be Chloe's safety. So I wouldn't like necessarily want anyone to like have any her to be on any hit lists for anyone to be like, yes, I need to go after her because she ruined my life, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I'd probably advise her against that. But from the perspective of a hero in the middle of a story, then yeah, see that through to completion, destroy him.
So it's not a case of the wife has a right to know or anything like that. That's not your consideration.
No, that's not mine.
Do you think that was Ash's consideration?
No, other people's marriages are not your concern.
Do you think that was her consideration? Oh, the wife deserves to know.
No, I don't think people should be worried about that, because if the wife has a doctor appointment, you're going to take her? If the wife needs food, you're going to feed her? Of course not. So their marriage is not really anyone else's concern. If she don't know something about her husband, then it is what it is. Loads of people don't know loads of things about their spouse. It's not really anyone's business.
Fair enough. I mean, you're allowed to keep secrets from your missus anyway, right?
And even if you weren't, what business is out of yours, random stranger? What secrets or I may or may not have?
So anyway, Ash and her mother tracked down Martha, who was Nick's wife, and they spilled the beans on Nick, telling her that he's a serial cheating bastard, and asked her to help him set him up. Diabolical. Who's the unfaithful one now? I was hoping and praying that Martha would refuse to help these random women that she's just met over her husband.
Yeah.
Do you see what Martha did by siding with Nick's mistress as unfaithful? Do you think that Martha is now an untrustworthy, unfaithful woman who cannot be trusted? Is she somebody who's now a walking red flag who you would advise against dating?
I don't think it's fair to speak like that about her in the context of what her marriage actually is versus what she thinks it is. Having said that, it's like, why are we overanalyzing her unfaithfulness as opposed to Nick's? But yes, 100%, you can't side with random strangers like over your husband. Even if they're like, oh, your husband's cheating, thank you for the file. I'll talk to him. At best, I think is what you should be doing.
Yeah.
I don't think you should be like, yes, let's now concoct a scheme
and
where we can trap him and like, no, they could be anybody. They could literally be anybody.
Yeah. So what do you think most people who was reading that book felt at that moment when
trap him, get him, obviously. Like, what else would it be?
Oh, God.
Team up, get him.
Well, that's telling if we don't know this for sure, but let's just say it is true and most women are saying get him, which we do believe they are. That says a lot about women that we have to deal with, date, love. Those,
But this is why I think Nick was ultimately stupid. Anyone who's ever dated one girl knows you don't want any more. Don't want to be dating 3 or 4 or 5 or 6.
Yeah, true.
So, Nick schemed Paddy's death too. Scheme may well be a bit of an exaggeration given the straightforward nature of the plot. Essentially, he paid a homeless man £50 to push him in front of a train. Honestly, I would be so upset. Getting a hit put out on you is one of the most respectable ways to go out, in my opinion. But to hear that I'm worth literally the price of a PlayStation game is heartbreaking. Huh?
The price of a gram.
Yeah. No, honestly, I mean, I don't know how much such things cost. But no, honestly, I just thought they didn't really give him any kind of mastermind schemes. It was just all I could have done that.
It was a bit far-fetched as well, paying a homeless man to kill somebody. It's a bit much. And unnecessary. And he killed him apparently because Paddy said something rude to him once. It's a bit
punishment
much.
Fit the crime.
Yeah. So, on to the ending. Of course, Lisa Jewell has to give her mostly female fan base what they want. Her fans want the women to finally meet up, decide to put their differences aside and work together in an astounding show of girl power, which ends with the cheating perpetrator in prison somehow. I'll never understand why these womanizers need to be jailed in female literature. If the women are stupid enough to give them no money, then that's their prerogative, surely. If the women aren't opposed to working with each other, then why can't they work together and share him? They were all happy before, weren't they? For a split second...
That's so true. Like, the existence of each other that actually made them pissed off to begin with, and now they're teaming up.
Yeah. For a split second, I thought I was wrong and that Lisa Jewell would rather kill Nick off than see him get away. When Nick was ambushed by all his women in a disgusting covert collusion where Martha drove him into the jaws of the lion, Martha and all the other women planned an ambush where his trusted wife would get him to a location where all the women were waiting for him. The location was on a beach, and Nick did what any man would do who had a lack of pride. He legged it. Literally. He legged it into the ocean and disappeared or died. So I had thought. The book ends with him nearly escaping and living happily ever after with Amanda, who eventually turns him in, which doesn't make any sense because, of course, she did help him murder one of the women, so she would most definitely go down for that. So I didn't like the ending, and why can't the baddie ever get away?
Yeah, I don't know. I just feel like people are very, when it comes to people, are very simplistic in that they want good to prevail over evil. And especially, like, you read this, women who read stories about cheaters, no one wants to see the cheater get away and keep cheating. Like, what? This doesn't sound... Only men want to see that.
Well, I don't want to see that. But yeah, the setup seen by other women reminds me of the time where an ex-girlfriend of mine set up a surprise party for me. I was led to a location, an Indian restaurant where all my friends and family were waiting for me. My girlfriend was obviously in on it, and she pretended that it was just going to be the two of us going to the restaurant. To my dismay, when I walked in and all my loving friends and family were there. Needless to say, I ended it with her shortly after the party because I can no longer trust her. She looked at me in my face and lied to me. Did I act unreasonably?
I think yes. In the context of society, I think you acted unreasonably because.
But that's not your own opinion, though. Surely you're taking on what people think in society. That's what it sounds like.
That's why I think reasonably, I think it's reasonable to lie to your spouse if you have a birthday party, a secret birthday party planned for them. I think that's a reasonable untruth to tell.
So, but is she untrustworthy? Does that make you an untrustworthy person if you lie to your spouse for a surprise party?
No, I don't think that reasonably makes them untrustworthy.
But if they're capable, surely if they're capable of lying to you, to your face, pretending that everything is okay when it's not, there's things, plans, motions going on behind the doors, they do that with ease and with a certain level of expertise, then surely that means they are untrustworthy. Surely.
Well, if you can't trust them, you can't trust them. Like, just because they planned a surprise party or didn't, doesn't mean you can trust them. So, if you can't trust them, you shouldn't date them.
So you telling me that if you saw a certain level of expertise in terms of your girlfriend's lying ability, let's just say, you know, she saved your bacon, the police came round. Let me just finish. Yeah. She saved your bacon with some expert lie, and that had you believing it, and she started crying, and you know, you wouldn't. Would it be reasonable for you to be scared by that and think,
of course. Like, for example,
dangerous.
If the police come around, and specifically my girlfriend as well, Chloe, like if she just randomly pulled this story out, tears, police go away, whatever, sorry for wasting your time, sort of thing, I would be like, please leave my house, sort of thing. But that's not the situation that we were talking about. Obviously, we're talking about a surprise birthday party, which I think is different. That's why I said in that scenario, I think it's reasonable for somebody to lie to their spouse in that scenario.
What about if your girlfriend ruined your surprise party because, let's say your family came to her and said, we want to do a surprise party. And she said, no, I'm not lying to him, rung you up straight away. They're trying to, you know, they're trying to. I'm crying. Was that somebody you'd say, yeah, trust that girl, I'm going to keep her around? Or was that still the same red flagginess?
It's a different sort of red flag. It's a different variety of red flag. But
which would you rather? Which is worse? I think the second one.
The second one's definitely worse. That's now, we've reached, now your behaviour's unpredictable now. Like, lie to me about surprise. My birthday's coming up. I can kind of, she's probably you can predict that coming, but nobody could see that shit coming. That's crazy. That shit is crazy. I think that's probably worse.
Is that you done?
No, I've got one more. Why don't we get to see this evil mastermind schemer, Nick, ever actually come up with any kind of mastermind scheme for if he's caught? Ash brings together all the victims of Nick and his many personalities, too many for me to keep up with, by the way, and exposes his real identity as Simon Smith. Simon crashes out and in a desperate bid to escape justice, flees into the English Channel and dies.
literally
he literally flees into the English Channel and dies.
No pride, you know. I wouldn't have to run. Man's relating it from the women, you know.
I'd have to go down. If there's that many of them. Well, first of all, the first thing I'm doing. But then if I'm overwhelmed by sheer numbers, then it is what it is at that point. But come on. I hoped he died after that. I actually hoped he died. Because I was just like, you can't reclaim your honour.
Well, he's a sociopath. He doesn't care about honour, you know. He will cry, snot, you know. You do whatever's necessary.
Clearly.
So, Would you recommend the book?
I suppose I would.
So when you say recommend,
Okay,
do you,
no,
wait.
I wouldn't.
Well, I was gonna say when you say recommend, do you mean drop everything you're doing, go read that book right
No,
now?
definitely not. Maybe I'd do the other recommend, to be fair. Somebody was like, I want to read, like, Lisa Jewell, is she good? I'd be like, yeah, read that.
No, even that's a bit much. I think when we say recommend, if they say, should I read this book?
Just holding the book in front of me, just waiting for me to answer. I'd probably say yeah.
You've read this before. Should I read it?
Yeah,
Is it worth it?
Yeah.
I think it's worth the read.
Yeah,
I think it's worth the
I
read.
didn't feel like my time was wasted after I read it. So that's probably why I'd go.
Do you know what? I think I'd like to give a helping hand to a book that's not formula. In some ways it is, but it's not the stereotypical formula. It was still a little bit of a different read to a certain extent. So what would you rate it out of 5?
You already know what I'm going to say.
2.
Yeah. I'd say 2. I just think it's 2,
3.
but it's touching on a 3.
I'd
could
say
touch on a 3,
3.
but I think 3 is probably fair.
3. I think 3 is fair. You know,
3 is probably fair.
I would even read it again.
Would you?
Yeah, I would read it again. You know, I liked the taste of the. You know what I'm gonna say?
So what you're gonna say, but I like it already.
The controlling, manipulative cat. I love. No, joking. It was interesting to see it from his, because my life is just not like that. You know what I mean? You know, it's so far on the other side.
Quality save. No, but in all seriousness, though, I do think 3 is probably fair. 2 is probably harsh.
Any more than 3 is just a 2.
Yeah,
it's criminal.
and certainly any less than 2 is definitely criminally harsh as well.
Yeah, it's harsh. So yeah, no, I think it was overall. I enjoyed reading the book. You know, I wasn't bored. You know,
that's true as well.
You know, I was entertained.
For a lot, to be fair.
And yeah, I mean, do you think you could live his life?
No, I definitely couldn't live his life. From like what? Have wife and children over in this place? No.
Yeah, but I think when you don't have a job, you've got a lot of time.
I mean, that's all you got.
You got a lot of time.
That's
I mean,
all you
his job is smashing women. That's his job. And if you were you probably wouldn't understand. But if you were like super good looking, and you had women fighting off women everywhere, you would, I think you would end up doing things like that.
Maybe. Yeah, I suppose. You know, when they say people spend beauty like coin.
Yeah. My dad said you know the CEO that's been caught cheating. My dad was talking to me about that.
All over the time.
Yeah,
can't get away from
my dad said something like, "That's what CEOs are supposed to do."
That is what they all do. You can't argue.
He said Elon Musk's got like 11 kids or something. You know, he said if you're not doing that, why aren't you doing it? So now you know why we are the way we are, because of our father.
Interesting. That's an interesting way.
But you catch my dad one day, and you catch him on another day, you might say something completely different.
I'm telling you,
he gives completely different advice, isn't it?
Yeah. I could easily hear him saying stuff about the sanctity of marriage. And
exactly.
And another day, so it's like, what? Where has this guy been the whole time?
So yeah, all right. Well, I think. Oh crap! Actually, no, I do have a quote of the day. I just didn't add it in. Unless I've lost it.
First.
Go on. No, whatever. Do you want to go? I can go.
No, go on. If you got it, might as well.
Quote of the day. They tried to bury us. They didn't know we were seeds. I think the wording, if I had some time, I would have fixed up the wording a little bit.
I suppose.
But I remember,
good,
I think it's quite good. I liked it.
Quote of the day. The question is, who isn't... Fuck, already. Quote of the day. The question isn't who is going to let me, but who is going to stop me.
And you know the answer to that, don't you? You.
Myself.
Yeah.
Exactly,
it's always yourself.
It's the ultimate enemy.
Which is hilarious, isn't it? What did you say? You had another quote. You said, if I could punch the person... Oh, was it something like the lines of, if I could kick the nuts of the person that gets in my way, I would be able to sit down for a week or something like that.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Brilliant quote.
Yeah. Because you are your own biggest enemy.
You are your own worst enemy, 100%. Nobody makes you spend all your time wanking. Exactly. It's just like, literally, nobody else makes you do that.
Blowing your money, sniffing your money.
100%.
All of that.
You wake up hungover, no one made you do that other than you.
Exactly. So yeah, all right, listen, it's time to end. We've been here long enough. So yeah, till next time.
Till next time.